Property taxes are confusing, especially when you're buying or selling a home. That's why we talk about prorated property taxes in a purchase agreement. And honestly, it's one of the most confusing aspects of our job. So that's why today I'm going to invite you to look over my shoulder as I'm explaining property tax proration. So the first thing to know is property taxes are paid in arrears. Now, I'm sure there's some joke there about property taxes being a pain in the rear, but we're not going to go there. So we break property taxes into two time segments. The first one is January through June. Those taxes are accrued, but they're not paid until March of the following year. So if it's 2025, you are accruing taxes and those are paid in 2026. The next time segment is July through December. So those taxes are accrued. In our example, they're accrued in 2025, but they're not payable until September of 2026. Makes sense? So for the purpose of this video, let's say we are closing on July 15th of 2026. Let's go back and take a look at this. So since it's July, the seller will have already paid the March taxes, so we don't have to worry about those. But what hasn't been paid yet and isn't due until September, which is after July, we need to catch up from July 2025 through July 15 of 2026. So I like to count on my fingers for this. So we've got to catch up July of 2025, August, September, October, November, December, January of 2026, February, March, April, May, June, and half of July. So that means we have 12 and a half months of taxes to prorate. So we figure that up. Let's say that the yearly taxes on this house is $3,650 per year, which also means that it's accruing at $10 a day. So if we have 12 and a half months to prorate, that's 365 days plus 15 days. That gives us 380 days. So we take 380 times 10, and that means that the seller is going to give to the buyer $3,800 on the day of closing. So how does this really work? What is going to happen is the seller is going to give a credit to the buyer at time of closing for $3,800. And then what's going to happen is that actually reduces the amount of the money that the buyer has to bring to closing, a little less closing costs. Then what's going to happen is after closing, the buyer is going to get a tax statement in the mail, and it's going to say, hey, you owe September property taxes for that last half of 2025. And the buyer is going to be like, what? I didn't even live in the house in 2025. Why do I have to pay property taxes? And they're going to call me and I'm going to say, hey, do you remember we got this property tax proration? You actually received $3,800 at time of closing. You're going to use that money to pay your September property taxes. So what this really means is that sellers are crediting buyers so that when property taxes are due, they're caught up and they're current. So the thing is to keep in mind that those taxes that were accrued in 2025, you pay them in 2026. And that is a long story short of property tax proration. That's a long story short of how property tax proration works. My name is Misty Metchke, and I'm a realtor with Hunsker & Associates, here to answer any questions you might have about real estate. Make sure you like and subscribe so you can catch our next real estate video. Thanks, and have a good one.